Big Sills! Happy Friday to you. Already with the Brock Turdy out of the gate? Holy cow. We do have some 49er news. By the way, bottom of the hour. We are going to talk with our friend Rick Barry. That was get this. I watched game 1 of the NBA playoffs last night. Game 1 of the finals. I turned it off. I think they're going to smoke them. They're going to sweep them. They can't stop the Joker. Hey, Joker's absolutely put it down. He's the best player on the planet. That guy's the best NBA player today. And how about this? That guy makes Larry Bird look like Michael Jordan athletically. He is the most non-athletic guy I've ever seen in my life, the Joker. Dude, that guy has no athletic ability, but is he more skilled than Shaq? He's not as dominant, obviously, but he can't jump over a stack of quarters. Dude, man. I can't believe how good that guy is, man. Finals suck, man. Game 2 is Sunday. You better do something to up the amps because right now, that thing's not looking good. If Jimmy Buckets doesn't get going, man, that thing's a smoke show. And I mean a smoke show, that thing's going to be a sweep. Joker's absolutely spectacular. Absolutely great. So we welcome you aboard here. Please hit the like button, guys. We got so much to hit on. By the way, with OTAs going on, an absolute mountain of conversation today. I got to do this to you. Do you feel this youth vibe that these Georgia Bulldog guys are bringing to the Eagles? Do you guys feel like there's a vibe? I mean, like a young vibe and like a youthness to the team now. There's like energy, added energy to it's incredible. I mean, when I watch these guys going through drills, hey, and again, too, you're sitting around talking about guys in helmets and shorts, and I get it. But to me, there's like an energy that they're putting into this organization that's already on high octane. These Georgia guys are bringing some cool stuff to the team. The young energy. Every football team needs to have that, in my opinion. That's what keeps you young. Do you know when Coach Johnson was building those championship teams in Dallas, they were the youngest team in the NFL when they won their first Super Bowl? That's kind of what we're seeing here a little bit with the Eagles. By the way, today, my top 20 NFL players. The Big Sills top 20 NFL football players. We're going to do that here in a second. Love the vibes, though. Bottom of the hour, Rick Barry will join us. And we will talk with him about that nightmare that we saw last night. All right. One thing I did want to get out of the way here. We had a conversation the other day about the true threats to the Eagles this year coming up in the NFC. I'm not talking the whole league. I think the AFC, you could put a bunch of teams' names in a hat and come out with an order, and I'd be pretty cool with the top 5 teams. If you like the Bills to be the favorites, I'm cool with that. Chiefs, every one of those AFC teams may have – am I right when I say this? Am I right when I say this? The AFC may have the better quarterbacks, but they got a lot of teams with a lot of holes in it. Whereas the NFC has some pretty good rosters. There's some pretty good rosters that are in the NFC. So I wrote down my top 10 teams in the NFC. And I wrote these teams down here. These are the top 10 teams that I wrote. And by the way, my boy Elliot Spitzer Polly Shore, or Shore, whatever his name is at it again with Jalen Hurts. I'm going to get to that in a minute as well. So I wrote these teams down. Here are my top 10 teams as of now on June 2nd. I know you're going to kill me on this one. I put the Rams 10. Why? Well, you do have Cooper Kupp, Sean McVay, and Aaron Donald, and Matthew Stafford. I get it. That team has more holes in it than Swiss cheese. You still have some top-flight players on that team. Okay? You still have top-flight players on that football team. And is that division winnable by anybody, really? Are you buying Geno for a second year in a row? Dude, I mean, 11. Then again, I found it tough. Here, what are you going to put there at 10? Atlanta? The Panthers? The Bears? The Packers? Who are you? Who's better than the Rams at 10? I mean, right? Who's better? Arizona? This is Jameson. This is the NFC. These are the threats to the Eagles in the NFC, not NFL, NFC. So I got Rams at 10. I do have the Panthers. See, I think the Rams are more accomplished, and I think the Rams have a better coach, but I think the Panthers have a better roster. And now that you have Bryce Young there and Frank Reich, there's more prospect conversation here. You know, there's more of the unknown with the Panthers. The Rams, you kind of know what they are. Won a Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Lost a ton of players due to age and free agency. Okay? So there are more question marks in Carolina. So I got the Panthers at 9. I got the Giants at 8. And I put the Giants here at 8. I think they're going to walk back a little bit. I think, again, when you're looking at the NFC, D-Hop would help them immensely. I think Barkley is probably pissed off because of the contract he got and turned down. Daniel Jones, will he be better with another year with Brian Dable? You know, they got a good player in the offensive line finally. They got a good player in the defensive line. I got the Giants at 8. Am I really, like, do I think if the Giants were in the AFC, and they're not even, I think they're a top 15 team, maybe. The Saints are at 7 for me. I think Derek Carr is going to bring something to that team. The coach I don't like. Their defense has talent. Michael Thomas is still there. Alvin Kamara, from what I'm understanding, is not locked up in jail yet. Okay, so the Saints, to me, of all the teams in the NFC, what kind of impact is Derek Carr going to make on that division? You know, when he played against the Eagles 2 years ago, he ripped you a new one. What do you have, like 90% completion percentage against that defense? That was the top 10 defense 2 years ago. He destroyed the Eagles. I mean, I don't know how many incomplete passes did he have in that game? 2, 3? He was incredible against the Eagles. He crushed them. So I mean, when he was on the field against the Philadelphia Eagle defense, he destroyed that defense. And so I'm going by the premise here. If you're going to throw a defensive scheme like the Eagles have right now at Derek Carr, he's going to slice you up too. So Derek Carr's not a bad quarterback. You know, you guys sit there and say that, well, Derek Carr's not that good. He kicked your ass from one end zone to the other end zone. It really wasn't close. And I think Derek Carr makes that Saints team overall better. So, believe me, the Saints are one of the teams that I've circled that I want to see what this kid does because, hey, his career is also on the line here. This guy's career's on the line. So again, I'm putting my top 10 NFC teams in here right out of the top of the show here. Got Rams 10, Panthers 9, Giants 8, Saints 7. I had a tough one with this one at 6. I put the Lions here. Now, Jameson Williams comes back after his suspension. I'll tell you what, too. DeAndre Hopkins' name is now kind of surfacing in Detroit. So you put DeAndre Hopkins and you have Jameson Williams, and with that offense, you add D-Hop to that Detroit team, holy shit, you're looking at something pretty good up there. That would be some. See what I'm saying? Okay, is D-Hop of 4 years ago? No. But would he be good with someone else? Absolutely. You put him with the Lions could be one of your top 3 teams in the NFC. See, to me, the only question mark that I have with Detroit, go do it. A lot of talent. Right? Go do it. So I have the Lions at 6. It's a hell of a roster. Penei Sewell in the O-line, Aiden Hutchinson on the other side. They're getting better on both sides of the ball. They're kind of building the team the same way Philadelphia does. They feel they upgraded at running back. Linebacking core, probably. They went and drafted a kid in the first round at linebacker. Back end got better with Gardner Johnson being added. Detroit's got a good football team. And I said this a couple months ago. I think of all the teams that you guys played in the NFC, not in the playoffs and in the regular season, the team that gave the Eagles the biggest fits was the Lions in game 1. That was the Eagles' toughest game. Philadelphia's toughest game, with all the participants on the field, both sides, the Lions were the toughest team he played. Who would have thought that? Then again, it wasn't a really big-time schedule a year ago. But at the end of the day, Philadelphia had to play 60 minutes of football to beat that Lions team. Okay? Now we get to the top 5. I got the Vikings at 5. Do you guys remember back in the day? How many times did you do this? Some of you guys may be too young for this. Every time that the Denver Broncos made it to the Super Bowl, didn't we all do this? Shit, this is going to be a shitty Super Bowl, and the team from the NFC is going to blow that team out. We always went like this. Jesus, really? The Broncos? The Broncos aren't going to win anything. This was before the Terrell Davis era. Okay, we all went like this. Oh, man, not the Broncos again. Giants would beat them. The Cowboys would pound them. We always did that, right? So, but now you have Brian Flores as your D coordinator. You're going to massively get an upgrade, and there's going to be a lot of energy on that side of the ball. And when you got better, they became a better coached unit because Brian Flores is now the defensive coordinator. That means a lot to me. You see, your coordinator, get this, the Philadelphia, you don't think you have a better D coordinator in Philadelphia than they do in Minnesota, do you? Your D coordinator, and by the way, I like the hire, but he's not better than Brian Flores. Brian Flores was part of the architect that turned the Dolphins around, and they got better under his direction. The Dolphins got better every year under his direction. And he was in New England for 17 years. He's a hell of a coach. That's an upgrade. The Vikings have a better defensive coordinator than Philadelphia does. Okay? So, you got better coaching. You get better coaching on defense. They needed that. That was an issue that they had last year. Every time they got into big-time games against big-time quarterbacks, their defensive coordinator was nowhere to be seen and was so predictable. You're not going to have predictability with Brian Flores. I think they did some good things in free agency. I think they did great things in the draft. I like the Vikings, but again, it comes back to one thing, right? Kirk Cousins. I get you. I think Kirk Cousins gets you to a limit. And by the way, Kirk Cousins, he's the floor of what you want your quarterback to be better than. He's a good player. He's just not elite. We're going to talk a little bit about that word elite here in a minute. The Vikings are, how about this? The Vikings and the Lions, both. You go like this. I don't know. One's the quarterback. Who would have thought that real quick, if you had to pick a quarterback between the Vikings and Lions, would you take Jared Goff or would you take Kirk Cousins in a game you had to win? I'd probably take Jared Goff. I'd probably take Goff because Goff's gotten to a Super Bowl. Goff's won big games. Goff is turning around. Hey, he's turning around the Detroit Lions. Get this, Tone. Who would have thought 3 years after the trade, the Lions are in better shape than the Rams? Who would have thought that? Get this. Seattle trades Russell Wilson. They're better off. And the Lions trade Matthew Stafford, and they're better off. Okay? Plus, you have Justin Jefferson. I mean, you got Justin Jefferson on that football team in Minnesota. Dude, he's a weapon. He is a great football player. Wait till you hear in what I say when it comes to the top 20 NFL players. We're going to do that probably after Rick Barry. Oh, wait. I got a Jalen Hurts comment I want to make here in a couple minutes here. Yeah, Elliot Spitzer, shorty guy from the Philadelphia Inquirer's at it again. He's so over the top with his reporting on how you look at somebody. It's crazy. Anyway, so here's the top 4 teams now in the NFC. Big Sil's top 10. I got Seattle at 4. Nice move for defensive tackle and free agency. I love DK Metcalf. I love they bring Bobby Wagner back. We talked to Warren Moon yesterday. There's more personnel on the team defensively, which was a problem for that team a year ago. Pete Carroll's got that team looking exactly like it did when they were on those Super Bowl runs early in Russell Wilson's career. And will Geno Smith, and I asked Warren Moon this yesterday, does he think Warren does, he does think that Geno's going to put another good year together. Seattle had a really good draft. Not surprising, too. Look at Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll's a modern-day Jimmy Johnson, and I'll tell you how. He evaluates college talent correctly. He finds guys in latter rounds. He's got a defensive mentality. He's got a formula on how he wants to win games. And he modifies that formula a little bit. But at the end result, it's the greatest era of football in the history of Seattle Seahawks football under the tutelage of Pete Carroll. He's the best coach they've ever had. He is. That includes Mike Holmgren. Pete Carroll has done a better job with the Seattle Seahawks organization than any coach in history, including Tom Flores. Hall of Fame coach. Mike Holmgren, Super Bowl winning coach. He's the best coach in that franchise's history. And when they hired him, everyone went, that was really his dream. I said this. That was Pete Carroll's dream job, coaching the Seattle Seahawks? Why? Well, he has turned it into a dream job. Pete's done a hell of a job there, man. When you can leave an organization as the greatest coach in franchise history, you've done your job. Like in the Super Bowl era, who's the greatest coach in Eagle history? If you tell me Andy Reid, you've had more disappointments with that coach than any coach in Eagle history in the Super Bowl era. Andy Reid has given you more disappointment than any coach in the history of the franchise. Okay? Andy Reid. So you enjoy finishing second. Okay? Hey, my point is it's a debate. Dick Vermeil? Wait a minute. So you think Andy was more important to the franchise than Vermeil was, coming out of that owner who was basically trying to gamble the franchise away and they were still winning? Really? See, the point I'm making here, though, between Pete Carroll and Andy Reid and Doug Peterson and Dick Vermeil, the point I'm making, you can debate it. Seattle, you can't debate it. Okay? You can't debate that. Now, here are your top three teams. And by the way, maybe I have to agree with CBS a little bit when it comes to rosters here. Vermeil completely shifted the direction of the franchise. Could be him, right? Do you understand something? That Dick Vermeil made it fashionable to beat the Cowboys. The mantra in Philadelphia is to beat Dallas every year. Started with him. The complete transformation of turning that franchise around from the 1960 title all the way until where you are right now was because of Vermeil. Vermeil turned the tide on Philadelphia Eagle football. That thing was a joke show. That thing was a joke show from 1965 probably until 1973. It was a joke show. The Eagles were nowhere. So, I mean, again, that's not kind of where we are here, but the point about what Pete has done in Seattle, there's no debate. There's no debate. Buddy Ryan gave the Eagles an attitude that represented the. Let me tell. Here's how I look at all your coaches. It's funny. Let me circle where I'm at here. I want to stop because I want to get to the top three. Here's my take on your coaches in the Super Bowl era that I consider great. Vermeil turned the entire franchise around, where it's expected to win in Philly. Buddy Ryan is the only coach in that city that personified the city. He was the city. Tough, in your face, fuck you attitude. He was that guy. The reason why you have a great affection for Ryan, because he's you. When you see an Eagle coach, you see that guy looking back in you in the mirror. That's who you see. You see that guy. Everything about him. Anti-management. The guy in France. Killing people on the field. Body bag games. Okay? He was just louder than Dick Vermeil. Andy Reid brought stability, structure, and a way to go about winning games and more creativity in the offense. If Randall Cunningham had Andy Reid, they'd have won 3 Super Bowls. Okay? They'd have won 3 Super Bowls if Randall Cunningham had Andy Reid as his coach. Because Andy wouldn't have jammed shit down his throat. He doesn't do it with Mahomes. He kind of tailors an offense around Mahomes and keeps him inside the guardrails. You see, that's the one thing they tried to do after Ryan left Philadelphia with Randall Cunningham. They brought in a very structured John Gruden, and it destroyed the relationship and the offense because Randall can't play inside that kind of box. He can't play in that sandbox. It was too small. You got to let Randall be Randall. It's kind of what they're doing with Jalen now. They're letting Jalen be Jalen. Okay? They'd have won 3 Super Bowls. Okay? Who said I said that the Eagles got lucky winning a ring? Who said that? I hope you're talking about somebody else. Who said that? You beat the living shit out of that Patriots team. Best O-line, D-line in the game. The Patriots were waving the white flag at the end of the game. No one ever said that. Randall played pretty good in the box in Minnesota. I never thought he was in the box in Minnesota. I thought Dennis Green let him play. Dennis Green allowed him to be him. That's not how I saw that. Okay? Sills, thank you as always for your time, passion, and content. Quickly, my favorite Big Sills quote, one thing I've never done in my life, eat half a sandwich. Yeah, thank you, Cue Ball. Big Sills is not a half a sandwich guy, my friend. Joe Kyle said the Eagles have. Okay, thank you, Slasher. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, dude, the Eagles beat that Patriot team up. What did the Patriots do the next year? The Patriots pulled the page out of the Eagle playbook and beat up the Rams. Okay? All right, let me get here. My top 10 NFC teams. Rams 10, Panthers 9, Giants 8, Saints 7, Lions 6, Vikings 5, Seahawks 4. Here are your top 3. I do think the Cowboys are 3. And here, Cowboys might even be 2. And for the record, I've made a prediction. I think the Cowboys and the Eagles are going to play in the NFC title game. I've already said that. Tone, right? I've already said this. I think it's Eagles and Cowboys in the NFC Championship game at Lincoln Financial. I do. Okay? Niners 2, Eagles 1. We'll